Hey, Justin. Hey, Joey.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Here's Sam and
Hi.
Honey. Hello. Introducing, I guess for you, Sam, we have our new teammate here, Frank, who just joined Habi a week ago, or 2 weeks ago.
Great. Hi,
Um,
Frank.
yeah, and he's joining the team also at the tail end. He's had some experience with the GIS. And I think Frank has attended a workshop that Honey facilitated before. Is that right, Frank?
I'm not sure exactly if that, but there were hot team members there during that mapathon. It was with Newbie. That's 2019.
So we have our new, never too late. We're getting Frank's user or learner insights also as we wrap up the curriculum for the training program. Yeah, there's four of us from Habi now and Red will also listen. Hello, DPO. Hello, David.
Hello, hey everyone. Good, how are
Hello.
you? So, hi everyone.
It's just chance to join. I think and he's just messaged me saying he's in a one-on-one with his line manager, so he'll just be a couple of minutes late.
All right, so should we get started or let's wait for him?
Happy to get
What do you
happy
think,
to get
Sam?
going if that suits you. Yeah.
All right. Excuse me. Hi, everyone. I'm not sure if video because it's quite rainy where I am and internet isn't as stable. Um, but anyway, welcome to our generally final sprint as we wrap up our design process of building the training program. Um, Before we begin and check in, um, how's your internal weather as you chat? I'll type it also here. Um, how's your internal weather as you join this? Maybe we can um, spend a few moments and then let's just type in our responses in the chat. All right. We've seen some of our responses here. Cool and clear, calm before the storm, calm after the storm, cloudy, windy, very stormy. Sunny day. Great. Thanks, everyone. And I think, like I said, I'm experiencing some internet difficulties, so I'll actually pass it on to Joby now. I actually got disconnected twice already during at the start of this call, so maybe it's better for me to pass it on to you, Joby, to help us get started with um this final meeting.
All right. Thanks, Jason. So hi everyone. I'll take over to Jason from here. Yeah, thanks everyone for checking in. Welcome to our final sprint for this hot training program. So just a quick recap from last sprint. So we convened to talk about the finalizing the training program curriculum, what the different learning units would look like, what are their coverage and possible titles. And then we worked on it after that sprint individually as well, asynchronously. We asked you to leave your comments so that we can process and finalize. And since our last sprint, we did just that. So Gerson worked on consolidating everything into a final document. So let me just share that. Oh, thank you, Sam. Oh, this is the design sprint 4. So we created a new document actually that consolidates everything into something a bit more cleaner looking. Let me just share that. Sprint document. I'm sharing it in the chat. Please let me know if you can access it with a thumbs up, maybe. So as you can see, let me just show it to you. Yeah. So as you can see, we consolidated all of your input into the training program curriculum. We reworked some of the titles, kind of collapsed and rearranged some of these units based on our discussions from our last sprint. So yeah, that's what happened since. And basically we'll continue the discussion, but I'll jump ahead to where we left off last time, which is, I think, if I remember correctly, on the basic field mapping. So again, the ask for us here in the call is for us to, look at the coverage of this particular unit. Does it cover everything that we want this unit to be able to teach our learners? Is the title okay to use? Are the objectives spelled out? Yeah. Let's just have like that open discussion. You can also leave comments here directly on the document if you wish, but we'll just go over these remaining units to validate what we've put in here for each of the learning units. So on basic field mapping, yeah, what do you think about the knowledge, skills, and attitude, objectives, the content coverage, the kinds of assessments? Would this work already for this particular learning unit, or should we add anything else here? And feel free to unmute if you want to comment.
Joby, can you just remind us the unit there? Is that basic field mapping? Okay.
Yeah, basic field mapping.
Okay.
Yeah, we start on basic field mapping.
I think this I think overall this this unit seems its scope, I'm happy with its scope in that it's not trying. I think it would be a mistake to give the participants in this program a very detailed run through of field mapping, including how to use more complex tools like ODK. So I think this is to me this fits the intentions quite well here, because it maybe does allow for awareness of what can be done with more complex tools, but only introduces participants to practical use of the simpler to use field mapping tools. So yeah, quite happy with this, but yeah, we'll look through the detail now as well.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. And Jen is also adding, I think, another skill objective.
Yeah, I'm a little bit thinking about like not the result of a training, but after the training, the ongoing and sustainable skill sets that I might have. And the suggestion that I had, I think, is along that line. So the learners will be able to design and conduct their own field mapping campaigns after this training. So something along that line.
Right. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, we can also think about like the more longer term objectives and what we hope the map users be able to achieve like after.
So like maybe a little bit of explanation on that. Like I was previously working at a university. I was designing courses, I was designing course curriculums, etc. And we had in the department had an overall goal. So what would be the graduate? What are we expecting from the graduate? What are the skill sets? What are the knowledge sets, etc. And we were always trying to define these things, not specific for the class or within the class, but like what will happen after the class, so that the learner will be able to keep on learning. Let's say like it's a first year course. What skills that student needs to have so that they're able to undertake the second year course, etc. So we are always looking beyond the training, not the training itself.
Right. Thanks, Jen. Anyone else would like to share their thoughts or maybe questions if you have any about this particular unit?
Yeah, what I would add is a component of ODK collect in somewhere here. Let me just add as a suggestion. Yeah, ODK Okobo collect forms a big part of field mapping within the open mapping ecosystem, and I think it's likely that some of the audience already has a head start on using these, but probably including a session around this, or maybe a few minutes of conversations around working with ODK or Okobo Collect would be valuable for the participants.
I think on that note, I'm going back to what Sam mentioned earlier. Maybe perhaps something like more of like an introductory level discussion or presentation of that particular content topic of ODK and Kobo Collect would be for, since this is like a basics of field mapping. Although thank you, David, for sharing that it is part of like that ecosystem of field mapping. So yeah, we'll take that into a consideration here. Anything else? Yeah, thanks, David. Yes, Jan.
No, I'm just like, I also put a comment. I'm supporting David in his suggestion, because field mapping tasking manager would also like involve ODK. So having an introduction just before that, I think that would be that would be valid and spot on.
All right. Thank you, Louis. Okay. Anything else? Or if we're okay to move on, you can also like give me a thumbs up rather than unmuting just so we can pace ourselves also with the less than 1 hour we have for this sprint, so we can also discuss the other units. We're okay with this. So we can move on to the next topic.
Agree with the assessment. Looks hands-on, which I think is key for field mapping.
But
Jan?
I think that they're not measurable. These wordings, there's like for assessment, we need to measure. So you can measure success, like learner can fail, learner can be successful, or learner can be partially successful. So there might be a couple of requirements that they need to carry out, and I think when we are assessing something, we need to also identify what are we looking at, what are we going to measure. So like using mobile mapping maps to map their surroundings, okay, but like we can also like maybe connect it with a change set, for example. So at least commit to 1, 2, 3 change sets using these mapping apps. So once you do that, it is becoming measurable. So they are using mobile mapping and they have committed some change sets, and we can identify and we can like assess, we can grade, give feedback on that change sets, etc. So I think they are good, but we need to make them measurable.
Agreed. Thank you, Jan. I suppose that comment could also like carry for all of the other assessments for the other units to try and incorporate like something for both of equal the output from the assessment. Total settings in consideration. As we finalize the curriculum. Yeah, anything else? We're good. Can you give me a thumbs up? Mm, mm, Our next topic would be on identifying data gaps in need. Thank you, John. Right, let's proceed. So our next topic is identifying data gaps in need. How to assess OSF completeness, familiarity with these particular apps, Disaster Ninja and and then being more confident about checking completeness and quality of OSM. Um, yeah, any insights, thoughts about its content and its coverage, kinds of assessments for this particular topic? making a lot of edits on the document itself. Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to discuss with the group, clarify with this particular learning unit? Yes, Adityo.
Yeah, I mean, after reading this unit, I'm just trying. I'm just trying to throw an idea here. I mean, for this unit, is this something that we could put after suitability of OSM in your works? So, it feels like they already understand of the field mapping, and then they already understand how to edit in remotely, but after that they need to identify data gaps and the need. So the flow, it's to me it feels like it's not correct flow. So I'm thinking like a put this unit after suitability of OSM in your works. So the idea is, after they understand the application of OSM in humanitarian, and then they assess the suitability of OSM within their organization, then maybe they can identify the data gaps and the needs in the area that they will map. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know how about others. Maybe you can say different opinion.
No, I agree that, like, if you identify that data gaps, for example, you can have the field mapping, the basic field mapping very much tied to that data gap. So first you identify the data gaps, and then you do the field mapping campaign to address that data gap. So I'm in agreement on that. The basic field mapping can be after that, so that they can support each other.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Aditya and Jan, for the input on that. We can situate this particular unit to follow, or we can recommend it to follow the suitability of OSM in your workplace unit. But again, I guess a reminder for everyone, like as a curriculum, these learning units don't necessarily have to be to follow this sequence here in this document. If you recall, the design of the training program can recommend like different configurations of learning units or different sets of learning units depending on the learner, depending on their needs. So it's not necessarily in this sequence or order. So for now, although we will take note of like those recommendations on sequencing, we need to focus a bit on more on like the coverage, like within each of the units, and of course the title, if it suits our needs and what we want out of the curriculum. So yeah, but thank you for that input as well. You can also leave that as a comment here on the documents if you feel like certain units should go after one another. But yeah, just a general reminder that we don't necessarily have to follow this sequence as is shown on the document. Yeah, thanks. On that note, for identifying data gaps and needs, the unit title, are we okay with it? The coverage, and given like the edits that are recommended here, how do we feel about this unit, or can we move on to the next? Again, thumbs up if we can proceed to the next unit. Oh yes, Aditya.
Yeah, for the assessment part, maybe we can put some more detailed measurable what type of size up or assessment that we need to put within this. I mean, if we following this the hot size up, incident size up, which there are a lot of things that we need to put it. So maybe I will trying to understand, like maybe we can put like a criteria that what is this document size up that pass, that will measure that the participant will pass or fail for this one. So yeah, or even like a maybe trying like a defining, yeah, which element that we need to put it within this size up.
Mhm. Yeah. So also like based on Jad's comment, if the size up includes all three items on the content, so assessing level of OSM quality, assess level of completeness, and how to visually assess, then yes. But otherwise, if there are other methods that you would suggest also for this assessment, then that should also appear in terms of like the content, like as a specific topic.
Yeah, I also agree that I also agree that in your suggestion, we would be giving a more structure on the assessment and clear expectations. So a complete size up might be something too complicated or big, maybe to expect, but we can identify do this, do this, do this, do this. So give some tasks so that these tasks will make up the elements and the analysis in the size up. So having a little bit more definition, or maybe giving some template to guide the learner and connect it with the content, I think would be very useful on that.
All right, we'll take note of that to explore and develop the assessment for this particular learning unit. Yeah, to help it to be more specific and um, show a clearer connection between like what the content is and how the learners are acquiring that learning or being able to embody that learning. Yeah, thank you. Other than that, if we don't have any other input for this, maybe we can proceed to the next topic. Thank you, everyone. On ensuring OSM data quality. So this used to be, I think the unit name before was data quality assurance. So we named it to ensuring OSM data quality. Any thoughts on the objectives, the content coverage? Do you see it having local or specific regional examples? Yes, Aditya.
Yeah, to me for this unit, I think we should be very careful not to put it too much complicated data quality assurance activities, like something that related to JOSM, because if I'm my understanding, we did not cover JOSM as much with this one. I mean, the participant is only use ID editor so far, so maybe some simple data quality issue that they can solve within using ID editor, that may be good for this unit. That's what I'm feeling when I'm reading this unit so far. And also in terms of localization, for the assessment, maybe for the localization, maybe we can try to let the participant fix the data quality issue within their area, like their neighborhood or their country, or at least just like the assessment learner, we check their hometown project and then check the quality issue. So yeah, that's a part for the localization. And yeah, for JOSM, I'm thinking what Sam comment is, maybe if we're talking about JOSM, it maybe get complicated because as far as I know, we did not cover JOSM in this training program. But please, just please correct me if I'm wrong for this one. Then
Sorry, just to clarify, JOSM is a kind of platform, or is JSOM?
Yeah.
JOSM is an editor, OpenStreetMap editor.
Yeah, it's a good time to talk about this actually. I think that it's in the getting started as an OSM contributor, there is mention of JOSM. It's mentioned highlight of JOSM, but it's not really clear what that might mean. I think it
Right.
would be. It might. I don't know what others think, but it would be a shame for. It might be a shame for participants to come out the end of a detailed course like this and not have been exposed to JOSM. But yeah, interested to hear what others think. I think it would be good to include JOSM if possible. And maybe this data quality part is a good place to include it using the validator check and so on. But
I
do worry.
agree.
Yeah, I do agree also that we'd have to, it's a fine balance. We'd have to be careful not to go, there's a lot that's possible in JOSM. We'd be careful not to go too deep into it. Yeah, but I would feel like we've let people down a bit if they joined this and they hadn't at the end of it would only ever really introduce them to the basic remote editing software.
Yeah, and also also like the general idea within the community is that ID is for basic editing. ID has some validation capabilities, etc. But like we should trust using JOSM in data quality, quality assurance, and validation. So I see your point valid. So at this point, at this level, I think we need to shift the balance a little bit towards JOSM so that the JOSM's validator tool, etc. So the quality assurance capabilities of JOSM should be included in this level, I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Just a quick one. I agree as well. And also looking at the kind of participants that will be in these largely will be people in GIS roles. So for them to move over to or to learn JOSM, it won't be as complicated as someone who is from just getting to mapping.
Yeah, agree with what Sam and what David and Chan said previously. It's more like I'm expecting that if they are trying to learn this data quality, so I expect that the participant already have several edits within OSM. It's so several contribute to OSM, and then maybe it's also a good time to teach them about JOSM, and yeah, it's trying to emphasize that okay, this section it will focus more on how to fix data quality within OSM using JOSM, for example. So but I'm thinking like if we're doing that, then I think we should have a introduction about how they can operate JOSM, or even like a reading material to learn OSM. For example, if they want to know more about JOSM, because it's more like a complex editor that mostly people use to editing it within OSM environment.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Actually, yes, honey. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
maybe one important element that I'd like to add is for the learners to know how to communicate with the mappers that they want to tap. For example, they are validating the edits of these mappers and they want to discuss the edits and resolve the conflicts or the data quality issues that they identified from the edits of these mappers. So it's one important thing that I see with data quality assurance is know how to communicate, know how to help the mappers to fix or maybe reverse their edits if needed.
Got it. Honey. I'm thinking it could be like a skill objective, so we'll take note of that to add here. Um, Knowing how to communicate edits to the editor.
Yeah, great. Totally agree. And just to clarify, I think, and check understanding here, I think we are aligned, but this section would not train participants how to become validators. But it would train them, it would train them and give them an understanding of what validation is, and how to kind of fix spot errors or issues with
Mhm.
existing mapping, and comment on existing mapping, which is useful, but not necessarily take participants through the full, this is the how to validate tasks and the tasking manager, and how to become a hot global validator or anything like that. But I feel that would be out of scope. Yeah, but definitely
Yeah.
agree that understanding how to communicate with the community on improving quality would be really important, despite that.
Yeah, so the unit is more of like entry level on data quality assurance rather than really taking them through the full, I guess, pipeline of data validation and getting them to become validators.
Exactly.
All right. Also, I think I'd like to go back on the point earlier of like introducing them to certain topics that are also relevant here in the content. So how this might look like in terms of like the actual course outputs, for example, since this is a curriculum, like the different learning courses can also like refer or reference one another. So for example, if there's content on JOSUM in the Getting Started as an OSM Contributor course that can be linked or referenced at this point in this particular course. So that way, there's like a interconnectivity between the different learning courses, and as well, it will also influence like what the different configurations that get recommended to learners would be like. So which courses would have a natural affinity with each other, and then are gonna be packaged together most likely. So yeah. Anything else? Any other comments on ensuring OSM data quality? Yes, David.
Yeah, Javi, there's a point, a bullet item there, data wrangling with OSM. And I wanted to check what colleagues pick with that. In a way, I feel like it, well, I wanted to hear what is the original thinking around it. But then two, I see it a bit fitting into export and assess the quality of OSM data they will spot issues. But yeah, wanted to, what's the thinking behind the data wrangling point there?
Yeah, I think it's linked to the previous previous bullet there, but it's like and it might be beyond the scope of this, but it's preparing and cleaning data sets for integrating in some sort of analysis. So for example, you know, if you downloaded a points of interest of health sites across a big region, pulling that into Excel or Google Sheets and cleaning up the using kind of find replace to clean up errors and issues with the data set before you use it for any analysis. I think that kind of fits into the export and assess. Yeah.
All right, we'll
Yeah.
take note of that.
Mm.
Yes, David.
I was just giving a nod of agreement there, and yeah, let's combine it, I think.
All right. Any other comments or insight on that? Or if we're okay to move on to the next unit. All right, I'll take that silence to mean yes. Our next topic is on GIS fundamental. So again, going over the objectives, content coverage. I think on this part we weren't able to think up of like an assessment for fundamentals. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to share them. How might we assess on this learning unit on GIS fundamental? So Dicho has a comment on the accessing OSM data should be ahead of the intro to GIS. So that they can interact with OSM data.
Yeah, I mean, I put this, I'm trying to understand, like maybe if we put this before the intro to the QGIS, then it more makes sense that in this introduction of QGIS, the learners is playing around with the OSM data. And because they also having like a Galvan plugin to, for example, the quick OSM to download OSM data. That's more like a after intro to QGIS, intro to GIS, we access OSM data, how to download, and then we open OSM data using QGIS, something like that.
Dicho, thoughts on that? Rearrange.
Merging how would merging sound? I think it might complicate things, but like similar to I think your suggestion. So we have the installation of QGIS relevant plugins like Quick OSM, Quick Map Services, etc. So there is place that they can already access OpenStreetMap data using Overpass. The Quick OSM is also using Overpass, for example, and they can experiment, like for example, I'm seeing adding vector data. So you are calling external vector data to QGIS, and you might already have downloaded that data by using the export tool, GeoFabric, etc. So I see that like the place should not be at the end. It can be before the introduction, as Aditya suggested, or it can be merged into the introduction part. So within Quick OSM, we talk about Overpass. Just before adding vector data, we can talk about the export tool, etc. I mean, it is less structured, so I don't know if it's preferable or not, but I agree with Aditya that it shouldn't be at the end.
All right, thank you, John. Any other insights regarding that point? I'll add it on Dicho's comment too. Right. Yeah. Any thoughts on like the kinds of assessments that we can explore for this learning unit? So someone put here designing a map using at least one OSM data layer in one process or visualization method.
Yeah, I have put that, and like again in the university, the GIS class, the easiest way for me to be able to collect the assignments was that instead of just asking for data, instead of just looking for like send me the shapefile, send me the JSONs, etc., I was asking them to do a process, and after that process, just go to the layout manager and design a map out of it so that they share the result of their process and in format of a map. And it was quite making my life easier to assess and grade them, instead of just like trying to open the files, etc., because sometimes they were also sharing missing files and it was not able to open, etc. So having a map, having a PDF and looking at the output through that map was always easier for me to assess in this course.
Okay, thank you, John, for the suggestion. I think that would also like help given the um I guess like the breadth of this particular topic in terms of like the content. So having like a more summative kind of assessment and being able to see like each individual topic might be more useful assessment.
Or like same assessment, but like maybe 4 or 5, like in each they can demonstrate a different aspect of it. So one of them might be just visualization, one of them might be doing some vector processing, vector analysis, and share the results of the analysis. One of them can be highlighting an OpenStreetMap data, something like that. Instead of just like trying to put everything in a single map, we can ask for multiple maps, but each of them are demonstrating something different within a long line.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Yes, Aditya.
Yes, actually, I have question about basic vector processing and basic raster processing. So it's more like a what type of basic processing that we should put into these two sections. I mean, if we're talking about maybe clipping or even like maybe we talk about buffering. Yeah, just I'm trying to understand what type of basic processing that we put within these two sections, because we also have this advanced and applied of use of OSM, or use of open data, and also we have this data analysis. So yeah, just trying to understand from others what type of basic processing that we should put within these two sections.
Yeah, I agree. So once you enter that, there can be lots and lots of different topics and exercises, and I think it's understandable having that question, because like Habi is not an expert in QGIS or GIS, so it is all being formed based on our input. So I think it would be up to us to answer that question. So what is included in that vector and raster processing? Like David, for example, do we have from previous trainings have a certain set of tools or methods in the vector processing, or do we identify it case by case in terms of the partner, in terms of the audience that is getting the training, and to identify which tools and which processes might be beneficial? Any comments or input on that?
I think for vector processing, the basic one would be geoprocessing tools. That's what Adityo suggested as well. Under it, it has buffer, clipping, dissolving, union, intersection, things like that. So I think geoprocessing is one thing, but also field calculation, field yeah field calculation using the in the attribute table would also be good to add. Yeah.
Did I share the set of assignments and exercises that I was utilizing for my GIS class? So for example, the field calculation, I was giving I was using the sample data sets of QGIS. There was a map or the states of South Africa, and there's also another data table. So by merging those two data tables, I was asking the students to calculate the population densities and then visualize the population density and create a population density map. So it was using data management, data merge, field calculation, visualization. And for the next activity, I was asking for them to, I was downloading OpenStreetMap buildings data set, OpenStreetMap data in Berlin, and saying that a couple is moving to a new city. They are looking for a house. And these are the criteria. I mean, that should be close to public transport, at least this distance. It should be close to the schools, at least this distance. It should be farther from industrial areas, at least this distance. So I'm giving that multi-criteria and asking them to identify the places that is satisfying that criteria, which you are using almost everything that is in the geoprocessing tools. So I can share the exercises for you to review if I haven't already, if you like.
All right, thank you, Jen. Yes, Sam.
Just a warning, we are moving, I guess, just because of the order that we're moving through these, we don't want to load too much into the fundamental section. A lot of what we're talking about now does come into the next
analysis and visualization. You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Sam. Yes, Adityo.
Yeah, I think what Sam said about and use case, I think is also good if we put it into the advanced and applied of use of open data. So it's more like a study case. I mean, for the advanced and applied use, it's more like a full study case, and then maybe for this fundamental for basic geoprocessing, then maybe we can just put it like explanation about what is clipping, geoprocessing, clipping or buffering looks like, or dissolve, and like raster processing, what it will be, what it will be looks like for building like hill shed. So it's more like a explanation, just for like a theory or reading purpose, not the actual like they need to follow it. I'm just trying to put it for as basic as possible for this chapter, because I think if we're talking about geoprocessing, it seems to me more like it's another another section that we could cover later. Yeah, that's my opinion on this one.
Got it. Thank you, Adityo, and thank you, Sam, for reminding everyone about that we are still, it's on GIS fundamentals. We still have like other units that we can add more like advanced explorations of the topic and the content. Just the time check, it's 4:56 here in Manila, 56 past the hour. Do you have any meetings? We still have 3 units left. Maybe we can still do one, but we either can extend a bit, or if we need to cut the meeting at our yeah, the rest of the units would have to be asynchronous work, and you can start to leave comments on the remaining units. Probably like the last two units on advanced and applied use and connecting OSM to the OSM community. So yeah, thank you for your input though on this unit on GIS fundamentals. Maybe one last look on data analysis and visualization. There was a comment on the previous unit of designing maps using the layout manager could be moved here on data analysis and visualization.
Yes, definitely. I also put the same comment up there. So if it is too complicated, if it is too long of a list, yeah, we should consider removing them in GIS fundamentals and putting into data analysis and visualization.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Jen and Adityo, for mentioning that you need to jump into a next meeting. So yeah, maybe I think we can end the sprint for now here and the discussions now. We'll share the file with you, and then you can continue to leave comments on the topics, the objectives, and suggested assessments, as well as the title. If you have suggestions for the titles for the units, feel free to add it as comments. Then we'll continue work from Habi's and will coordinate with Sam on finalizing this training program curriculum for HOT. So yeah, thank you everyone for your input for today and the discussion on the different topics. Any last questions before we check out? Okay. Think so. Sorry. Are we clear? You can engage with this document asynchronously after this sprint. We'll just email you reminders of like until when you can access this. But yeah, feel free to leave comments on the content topics, the title, the objectives, the assessments, and then we'll take all of these into consideration in finalizing the training program curriculum. Right. Thank you everyone for this session. Let's do a chat checkout. Yeah, one word checkout. What's your one word as we exit this sprint? You can put it in the chat. You can check out awesome, productive, clarity, exciting, curious. Need to review. Yes, hello, Jason. Detailed. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I think we can end our sprint at 5 or after the hour. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joey.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. See you.
Thanks, Jen. See you.